like I should be in Hocus Pocus or something. Or Double Trouble, that movie with the Olsen twins. I like how every plot for every Olsen twin movie were twins. The Olsen twins were like the same age as me. So by default, when I figured that out, I was like, wow, I have a chance to date them. Is that a thing that other guys believe?
What else do we need to have in common?
That just wasn't like a little kid thing. When I was 19, Kelly Kelly debuted in ECW, and she was like, my name's Kelly Kelly, and I'm an exhibitionist. And I'm only 19. I remember thinking, I'm 19 too.
Okay. All right.
It's the Halloween season. Insert scary music and perhaps thunder and lightning. Ah! We have a smoky cauldron.
What's the bubbly noise?
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I think that was a great sound effect.
We've got a skeleton with a bath towel on his head, because this is clearly something that I use in my bathroom.
Taking a bath.
We've got a spooky witch.
I am so scared.
Hi, I'm Gregory Iron.
And I'm Benjamin Boone.
We're going to be talking about the spookiest and maybe not so spookiest moments in professional wrestling history. And when you think about spooky and scary moments in pro wrestling, obviously we grew up watching this as children. Is there a moment that comes to mind that actually legitimately scared you?
I was 12 years old, and I was scared shitless of Kane.
Really? What scared you about Kane?
His look, and how he was illuminated by the red light. I knew that he couldn't control fire, but the illusion of it was spooktacular. And for the fact, too, he lit a cameraman on fire one time.
He did light a cameraman on fire, but were you more or less scared when he said his first words without the voice gimmick?
Yeah, I got it. If I don't win the title, I will set myself on fire.
That was actually with the voice gimmick, though.
Okay, but it was still scary. I've only met one guy in my life that had the little like voice enhancer thing. So I was a server at a time. I was 19, like Kelly Kelly was when she debuted in ECW. A guy that I was waiting on one time, he had like a big hole in his throat, and then like when he ordered, he was, I want tostadas. I'm like, and I'm thinking in my brain, you're like Kane.
To go back here, the first words Kane ever said without a voice enhancer were, "Suck it." If I had to think back to a moment in professional wrestling that scared me growing up, one of the first things that come to mind is the 1994 Royal Rumble when The Undertaker took on Yokozuna in a casket match. And every single bad guy on the roster had to put The Undertaker away into the casket. And when it was all said and done, The Undertaker appeared on the screen. At this point, presumably dead again. And he said something to the effect of, I will not rest in peace. And then lightning struck The Undertaker, and then he started to levitate out of the screen and above to the arena, and I thought to myself, I witnessed a live murder, and I was scared. I was scared for The Undertaker and those in the arena, because if Jeff Jarrett was going to murder a man live on pay-per-view, who was to stop him?
What about Buried Alive?
October 20th, 1996, Buried Alive, Mankind versus The Undertaker. Absolutely frightening. I can imagine the scariest part for those in the arena was immediately following that when the live dark match occurred with the New Rockers in action versus the Bushwhackers. Ooh, boy, a man just got killed.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker has been buried alive. Now here's a bonus match!
Sean, do you have a moment that legitimately terrified you as a kid?
Undertaker versus
Cauldron. God.
Versus Big Boss Man were in the Hell in a Cell, and then he hung him.
Yes, WrestleMania 15.
Yes,
that was terrifying to me. I still don't understand how they did it. I don't try to find out because I like the illusion. But
the Brood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
ascended from the ceiling on top of the Hell in a Cell.
Descended.
Descended?
Yes.
Listen, I know words, okay? So don't question what I said. I'm going to go with ascended.
I went to college twice, you know.
What does that say about you? They came down onto the top of the cell, okay? And then they broke into it, and they helped hang the big boss man. Sean, were you more scared when, after that, as he was hanging from the cell, Michael Cole on commentary goes,
Is it symbolic, King? Oh, folks, it's been a WrestleMania weekend in Philadelphia. Last night, the Rage Party.
And then he cut to a vignette of Isaac Hayes singing Chocolate Salty Balls. Has WWF ever done what can only be called a simulated murder on pay-per-view and not cut to something that in no way, shape, or form is equal to what we just witnessed? I feel like you should just end with the murder. Seems like the theme of this show should have been murders that happened on pro wrestling shows that weren't actually murders. How about that time that The Undertaker decided that he was going to bury Paul Bearer?
Great American Bash, 2004. And what a weird way to just kill off Paul Bearer randomly.
It was the Dudley Boys versus The Undertaker, and in the build-up to it, Paul Heyman, who was managing the Dudley Boys kind of, said that Undertaker needed to do the right thing. Undertaker proceeded to win the match, which means, in theory, he wouldn't have to, murder his longtime manager who was sitting in a concrete crypt. And then he just murdered his longtime manager.
I'll demonstrate. Oh, no! No! Did. If we're going to go way back in the mid-90s, Halloween Havoc, when they unleashed the Yeti.
Oh boy. Yeah, the Yeti. Halloween Havoc 1995. It wasn't scary enough that they had a sumo monster truck match, but in the end, a guy from the power plant, Reese, who would go to be in the Flock, debuted as a creature called the Yeti. Now, a Yeti is some sort of wintry creature, but for some reason, when he came out of the block of ice, he ended up being a mummy, who for some reason dry-humped Hulk Hogan.
And it didn't help, too, that the Giant was on the other side. So
also dry-humping.
It looks very sexual.
How scared were you for Hollywood Hulk Hogan in WCW when he was staring into the mirror? And what did he see? But the Ultimate Warrior. What was interesting about that was Hulk Hogan could see the Ultimate Warrior. We at home could see the Ultimate Warrior. The people watching the live feed in the crowd on WCW Nitro could see the Ultimate Warrior. But for some reason, Eric Bischoff, who was in the same room looking in the same mirror, could not see the Warrior.
Looking at what? Looking at what?
Talking about WCW, what's more spooky than implied child? Remember the debut or the impending debut of Seven, aka Dustin Rhodes? Oh yeah, you remember the vignettes. Him with creepy white face paint and a hat on and a trench coat, staring into the window of a small child.
Complimented by Ole Anderson, doing the Black Scorpion voice.
I don't think it was Ole Anderson, but they definitely used an Ole Anderson-like voice.
Sting, I will destroy you. That's not what was said in the 7 promo. I don't remember what was said. I think at one point it's like, in your bed. Said that and I was like, oh, this is not okay.
It's just too bad that WCW didn't stay in business, so that way we could have got the inevitable crossover between Seven and To Catch a Predator's Chris Hansen. That would have been great. Can you imagine, much like Jay Leno having Hulk Hogan in a headlock, we could have seen like Chris Hansen delivering a suplex of some sort?
You can say, why don't you have a seat and then hit him over the head with a chair?
Okay, alright, that's good.
Okay. What are some other unintentionally hilarious, non-spooky moments?
Literally any time the boogeyman ate worms and spit them into somebody's mouth. It's not scary, it's just fucking weird.
And Gross?
Gross.
I think there's a lot of people out there that would pay good money to have the boogeyman spit worms into their mouth. That has to be a fetish of some sort.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's a missed opportunity for Boogeyman to have an OnlyFans. So, what about this? Definitely not Halloween, but unintentionally scary. What about when Val Venus almost got his pee-pee chopped off? Now, because I will, sidebar, I was legitimately concerned when I watched it live as a dumb wrestling fan.
You were legitimately concerned for the porn star Val Venus getting his dong chopped off. So we're doing a Halloween themed episode.
You know something, ladies? The Big Valboski is a lot like the holidays. This leg is Christmas. This leg is New Year's. Come in between the holidays. Ha ha! That's something he actually said.
Okay. All right.
In fairness, imagine if you were watching live television and a man cut another man's dick off.
With a sword.
One of the episodes of Raw ended with that cliffhanger of Val Venus tied up in the locker room, and the show went to black as he was getting his penis chopped off. I mean, that was the cliffhanger to be like, tune in next week to see if this man still has a dick. And this guy was like at school, he couldn't concentrate. 11-year-old Ben Boone was thinking like, does he still have his penis? Does he still have his... I don't know. How's this dude going to get his chub up? There are some ridiculous things in wrestling that still occur. And I often wonder, do the kids of this generation, are they going to look back at this and go, man, I was really creeped out when that happened? I'm thinking about the time that Alexa Bliss had a doll live on Raw during the match. Alexa Bliss, who was wrestling, I believe, Dewdrop. Dewdrop stopped. So they cut to a pre-tape graphic of this doll on the turnbuckle winking. It distracted her and she got rolled up and lost.
To counter that, what about the Randy Orton-Bray Wyatt match from WrestleMania a couple years ago when Alexa Bliss just randomly showed up? She had like that really creepy crown on and it was like spewing black blood or whatever it was.
I kind of thought that was cool, but I would find more terrifying the entrance that Randy Orton had for the match with Bray Wyatt a couple years prior, where it appeared as though on the stage, little semen floating behind Randy Orton as he walked down to the ring for WrestleMania. You know what I was kind of creeped out by as a kid? I was just convinced that he created an illusion at WrestleMania 9 when there was not one, but two doinks in the ring. And I was thinking to myself, how did he do that? It never crossed my mind that it was like, hey, dumbass kid, it's just another guy in makeup.
Could we reenact for the viewers?
See, right there, that's where it doesn't work. We were doing pretty good. It's embarrassing. You know that I'm not ambidextrous, and you wanted to do the double doink spot.
For the LOLs.
I want people LOLing at my hand.
You're putting words in my mouth,
my
man.
Creepy, freakish hand. You wanted people laughing at that. Send your hate mail to @BenjaminBoone1. Is that still your Twitter account?
Yeah, it's called X.
Okay. Stop doing the Mike Tyson DX. Stop that. That's scary.
What about when Jericho peed in William Regal's tea? That was pretty scary.
Let me ask you a question.
Ask.
This is for both of you. Why is it that incidents involving penises are some of the most scary things that you two, as children, were interested in?
I really liked my penis back then.
He never grew into
Years of abuse to the thing.
a lot of unintentionally unscary moments in wrestling history involving Undertaker, Kane. One last one that I was thinking about was the time Kane burnt JR after an interview. I guess not so much the burning itself, because that was like done pretty good. Probably a stuntman, I would imagine. But what made it funny was the added in audio of Jim Ross screaming while he's on the ground. They had to, after the fact, say, okay, Jim, we need you to we need some audio of you screaming like you're on fire. And he's like, oh, god damn, son of a bitch, okay, well.
I don't do this in Oklahoma State.
All right, Jim, have at it. 3, 2. I'm on fire. Kane's alive. Oh my God. So yeah, that's wasn't scary. I'm sure there's a ton of other moments that were meant to be scary in professional wrestling that just weren't. Drop it in the comments below. Give us a like. Subscribe to Iron on Wrestling by clicking the button below, or to the left or to the right, I'm not really sure. Just subscribe so you get the alerts on all these videos, and look for more content like this from Iron on Wrestling. And I guess with nothing else to say, it's time to end this little spooky shindig.
And what timing too, because the cauldron stopped burning. Hold on, I'll relight it. Ready?
There's a ceiling there. I'm just gonna blow out this candle now.